They said a welding shop needed stronger hands. Strange, considering mine were the ones that kept the sparks flying while everyone else backed away from the heat. I rebuilt machines, handled clients, worked overtime without applause. Yet when it came time to name an heir, my parents handed the entire family welding shop to my sister's husband, a man who couldn't even strike an arc. So, I didn't fight. I walked out, bought a second-hand welder, and built a shop they never imagined I'd build. If you're interested in this topic, hit the like button, subscribe, and type "interested" in the comments, and I will give you a heart. I didn't grow up wanting to run a welding shop. I grew up inside one. My earliest memories weren't dolls or tea sets. They were sparks dancing in the dark, steel cooling on a workbench, and my father's voice telling me, "Careful, kiddo, heat teaches lessons fast." And it did. I learned everything fast. How to cut, how to fuse, how to repair, how to troubleshoot, how to think with my hands and see with my instincts. While other kids were at birthday parties, I was measuring steel beams. While my sister was painting her nails, I was grinding metal smooth. While my parents bragged about their hardworking daughter, they still believed I was temporary, like I was just filling in time until a real successor appeared. But I didn't care back then. The shop felt like mine. The welders hummed like they recognized me. Customers trusted me more than the owners. Men twice my age asked my opinion before asking my father's. It should have told me something, that I was running the shop long before they admitted I was running it. But I was naive. I thought loyalty was enough to guarantee loyalty in return. I thought blood meant fairness. I thought putting in the work meant eventually earning the title. I was wrong. One afternoon, after a brutal 12-hour shift repairing the frame of a trailer that Daniel, my sister's husband, accidentally damaged while helping, I walked into the office to find all three of them sitting around the desk. My mother looked nervous, my father looked oddly proud, my sister looked smug in a way she didn't bother hiding anymore. "Sit," my dad said. I sat. My father clasped his hands together. "We've made a decision about the future of the shop." I froze. Every part of me went still. This was the moment, my moment. The one I had worked toward for years. The one I earned with every blister, burn, cut, bruise, late night, early morning, and sacrificed weekend. I took a breath, steadying myself. "Okay," I said. "What's the decision?" My father exchanged a look with Daniel, who suddenly sat up straighter, puffing out his chest like he'd done something impressive. And then the hammer dropped. "We're transferring the shop to Daniel," my father said calmly. It felt like someone kicked the air out of my lungs. "Daniel," I repeated, my voice flat. My sister jumped in. "He's a man. He understands physical labor, and it makes sense for a husband and wife to run a family business." I stared at her. "Daniel can't even weld." Daniel lifted his chin. "I'm learning." Learning? The man nearly blinded himself last month because he refused to wear protective gear. My mother cleared her throat. "Honey, you're talented. You've always been helpful here. But welding isn't a woman's long-term profession." That one sentence. Sparks behind my ribs. I kept my voice steady, but inside, something cracked. So everything I've done means nothing? All the work, all the hours, all the repairs I did when Daniel broke things, all the clients who come here because I'm the one they trust? My father sighed like I was being emotional instead of logical. "We appreciate everything you've done, but Daniel is family now. He needs stability, and this will give him purpose." My hands curled into fists. "So, you're giving him the shop to fix his self-esteem?" "It's what's best for the family," my mother insisted. A bitter laugh escaped before I could swallow it. "No. It's what's best for your image of what a family should look like." Claire's sister, who once couldn't change a tire, shrugged. "You can stay on his staff. Daniel will need your help." Staff. Staff. I felt something inside me die, and something else, much stronger. Wake up. I quit, I said. My father's head snapped up. Don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic, I said, standing. I'm being done. My mother reached for my arm. You can't just walk away. Watch me, I said. I left the office, walked out of the front doors, and didn't look back. Not once, not for them, not for the building, not for the memories. I drove home in complete silence, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. Hurt washed in first, then anger, then clarity, icicle sharp, perfect. If they thought Daniel was the future of welding, then fine. Let them drown in their bad decision. But me, I had steel in my veins and fire in my lungs. I didn't need their shop. I didn't need their approval. I needed one thing, a spark, a reason to start my own fire. And the next morning that spark arrived. A trailer rental company I had worked with for years called me directly, not my parents, not the welding shop phone, me. Can you take a job? The manager asked. We specifically want you, not the shop, you. I stared at the phone, heartbeat hammering. Yes, I said, I can take it. The manager sighed in relief. Good, we were worried Daniel would show up. He didn't even know how to inspect the frame last time. Don't worry, I said. Daniel won't be involved. Great, the manager replied. We'll send over the contract. And hey, I waited. If you ever decide to start your own shop, he added, you'll have our business on day one. That was the moment, the exact second, the welding torch inside me roared back to life. And all I could think was, my family just made the biggest mistake of their lives. Starting my own welding shop wasn't some glamorous movie montage. It was ugly. It was exhausting. It was humiliating. It was powerful. And it was mine. I took that first contract from the trailer company and used the money to buy a second-hand welder. Rusted, loud, temperamental, and perfect. I set it up in the back of an old storage unit I rented for cheap. The walls were dented, the lights flickered, the floor was uneven, it smelled like dust, oil, and possibility. And when I flipped the switch on my machine for the first time, watching the arc flare to life, I swear the room breathed with me. All right, I whispered to the machine, let's build a future. But the second the spark started flying, so did the conflict. First came the customers who had followed me here. Quiet ones at first. People who had worked with me for years and knew my skills weren't tied to my family's shop. But then word spread faster than heat on steel. People began showing up, asking for repairs, custom work, welds on equipment, frames, trailers, fences, you name it. My hands didn't stop moving. The sound of welding became my heartbeat. I was building something. Then came the first hit. My father. He showed up at my storage unit like an inspector trying to shut down an illegal operation. He didn't knock, didn't warn me, just barged inside with the authority of a man who still believed he owned me. What the hell is this? He demanded. My shop, I said without looking up, finishing a bead weld cleanly. He scoffed. This is a storage unit. You're embarrassing yourself. Then don't look, I replied. He wasn't used to that tone. My father's temper simmered. Customers are leaving our shop. They're coming here instead. You're stealing clients. I stopped welding, lifted my hood, and looked him dead in the eyes. I don't need to steal what was already mine. That hit him harder than the heat behind me. You're going to ruin us, he said, voice cracking with equal parts fury and fear. You already ruined yourselves, I said, when you gave the shop to someone who doesn't know the difference between a torch and a TIG. My father's jaw clenched. You think you're better than your family? No, I responded. I think I'm better than you expected, and that scares you. He turned and stormed out, but not before slamming the door so hard the unit rattled. And the moment he left, another hit arrived. My sister. Claire, she sent me a message dripping with hostility. You're being selfish. Daniel needs time to learn. You're sabotaging him by poaching customers. Poaching. The word burned. So I replied simply, Daniel is sinking because you handed him an anchor and called it opportunity. She didn't answer. Not then, but the storm she unleashed was only the beginning, because the very next day, Daniel came himself. And unlike my father, he didn't even try to hide his jealousy. He walked into my unit, looked around at my setup, and scoffed. You think this is a real shop? It's more functional than you, I said, sparks dancing behind me as I welded. His face twisted. You're making me look bad. No, I said calmly. You're making you look bad. Daniel stepped forward, pointing a finger at me like he actually had the right. Customers are trash-talking me. They act like you're the only good welder in the family. Your dad says you're ruining the brand. I lifted my mask again. Maybe the brand should have chosen the right successor. He exhaled sharply. You need to stop taking jobs, I laughed, fully laughed. You came here, I said, to tell me to stop working because you can't keep up? His silence was the confirmation. Daniel, I said, stepping closer, I'm not working to spite you. I'm working to survive. But every time you fail, you make me look better. And that's not my fault. He tried again. Look, can you just help me? Show me how to do things? Teach me like before? I stared at him. The audacity, the entitlement, the desperation. You want my help so you can run the shop I deserved? I asked. He swallowed. I want you to fix things. No, I said. Fixing things is what got me here. He left without another word. And then, like the universe wanted to make sure I didn't have a moment of peace, my mother arrived. Not to help, not to apologize, not to take responsibility. No. She came to throw one final spark into the powdered air. She stepped inside with a tight smile and a colder voice. People are talking, she said. Of course they are, I replied. I'm doing better work. You're humiliating us, she snapped. The shop is struggling. Daniel is stressed. Your father can't sleep. This is your family. You should care. I do care, I said, just not in the way you want me to. Her eyebrows knitted. What does that mean? It means, I said, I care that you chose the wrong person. I care that you dismissed me. I care that you didn't think I was worth the shop. And now, I care that you are finally facing the consequences of that decision. Her lips trembled with a frustration she couldn't hide. You're punishing us. No, I replied, I'm moving on. You're punishing yourselves. She opened her mouth to argue again, but a voice from behind her cut in. Hey, is this where I drop off the broken trailer frame? A regular customer. A loyal one. A witness. My mother's face fell. Because right there, in the tiny storage unit she mocked, someone walked in trusting me over her entire establishment. The man handed paperwork directly to me, ignoring her presence completely. Her eyes widened, her breath hitched, and right then she realized something crucial. Their shop wasn't failing because of me. It was failing because, without me, it was nothing. As she watched me take the contract, smile at the customer, and receive a confident, "You're the best welder in town," I saw it. The fear, the regret, the dawning horror of realizing they chose the wrong heir and the wrong girl to betray. But the conflict wasn't done yet, because soon, they wouldn't just lose customers, they'd lose everything. Comebacks don't announce themselves. They creep in quietly, like the slow glow of heated steel before it flashes molten gold. Mine began not with fireworks, but with the echo of my storage unit door shutting behind the customer who just called me the best welder in town. The second he left, something inside me clicked. An internal weld locking into place, sealing every crack my family had carved into me. I wasn't fixing trailers just to survive anymore. I was building a brand, a reputation, a future. And the universe, oh, it wasn't done. Because the very next morning, I woke up to 8 missed calls from the trailer company, thinking something terrible had happened. Instead, the manager's voice thundered through my phone the moment I answered. "Where have you been? We need you." "What's wrong?" I asked. "Daniel happened," he groaned. "He tried to take one of the repair contracts you handled for us. Said he inherited the shop and all welding business should go through him." I didn't even blink. "How did that go?" "He couldn't even diagnose the issue," the manager said. "Burned a hole straight through the metal and then blamed the equipment. Our company policy bans him now." I sat there, coffee halfway to my mouth, letting that sink in. "Bans him?" "Bans him," the manager repeated proudly. "But we want you exclusively. If you're up for it, I'm ready to lock in a long-term contract." My heartbeat slammed against my ribs. "I'm up for it." "Perfect," he said. "Your rate just doubled." I nearly dropped my coffee. When I hung up, I stared at the wall for a long moment. A doubled rate, exclusive contract, guaranteed monthly work. The kind of stability I never got from my family's shop. The kind of confidence they never gave me. The kind of validation they never allowed me to feel. And once word got around that the trailer company officially switched to me, everything changed. The construction yard called next, and a fencing company. Then a guy who ran a small fleet of delivery vans. I couldn't keep up with the work anymore. I needed help, real help. So I called the one person I trusted with a welding torch, my old shop mentor, Gary. He'd retired 3 years ago, but he picked up my call on the second ring. "Kiddo," he said, voice gruff in the way only welders and lifelong chain smokers have. "You all right?" "Better than all right," I said. "I need you." He chuckled. "Well, that's a first." "Not like that," I said, laughing. "I need someone I trust to help me run this thing. I'm drowning in jobs." He paused. "Wait, you started your own shop?" "Yes," I said, "and it's growing." "How growing?" "Can't breathe growing." "That did it. Send me the address," he said. "I'll be there in 20. And he was. He walked into my tiny unit, looked around at the bare walls, the tangled extension cords, the shelves I built from scratch, and nodded with an approving grunt. "It's ugly," he said, "but it's got heart." "I know," I replied. "It's mine." He pointed to the welder. "Let's see how she runs." And so we spent hours fixing the quirks, tuning the settings, repairing connections, and improving airflow. At one point he stopped, hand on his hip, sweaty and red-faced. "Kid, you weld better than half the guys I trained." I blinked. "Really?" "Really," he said, "and far better than the man your parents replaced you with." I didn't need to ask how he knew. News travels fast in welding towns. After seeing what I'd built, Gary insisted I expand. "This place is too small," he said. "You've got the skill, you've got the clients, and you've got the fire. You need a real shop." "I'm not ready," I admitted. "You're beyond ready," he countered. "You're giving your family's old place a run for their money. Now imagine what you could do with an actual workshop." The idea felt impossible, terrifying, and perfect. So I did something bold, something I wouldn't have done before they betrayed me. I went looking for a building. After weeks of hunting, I found one, a worn-down auto bay sitting on the edge of town, long abandoned but structurally sound. The rent was shockingly low, the space was massive, the potential was blinding. I signed a lease that day, and the next morning, I welded my new shop's sign by hand. Big, bold, clean. Ironheart Welding. Not named after my family, not named after tradition, after me, after what I'd survived, after what they tried to break. Gary and I worked day and night, turning that skeleton of a building into a welding sanctuary, painting, rewiring, reinforcing, installing better ventilation, setting up proper stations. And when we were finally done, we stood there, shoulder to shoulder, admiring the glow of the new shop lights flickering on for the very first time. "Well, kid," Gary said, wiping his forehead. "Looks like you built the shop your parents never believed you could." I swallowed hard. "Feels like it." "So what now?" he asked. I shrugged. "Now?" I repeated, glancing at the calendar. "We open." And open we did, and people came. More than I expected, more than I had prepared for. Customers filled the lot. Trucks lined the street. I had to move the benches outside to create more space in the waiting area. My phone rang nonstop. A local business journal called, then the town paper, then a regional contracting firm. One journalist asked, "How did you manage to compete with the older welding shop in town?" I told her the truth. I didn't compete, I replaced myself. And people loved it. Word spread faster than a wildfire in dry grass. But the real comeback moment, the one that cemented everything, happened 3 weeks after I opened Ironheart. My sister's husband Daniel showed up. Not angry, not entitled, not smug, a worthy destroyed. He walked into my busy shop and looked around like he was watching his own funeral. We lost another major client today," he stammered. "People say you're better, they say you're faster, they say you're more reliable." He swallowed hard. "They say you're the real heart welder." I nodded once. "They're right. You need to help us," he whispered. "The shop is dying." I wiped my hands, looked him straight in the eyes, and said, "I'm not your savior, I'm your competition." And that, right there, was the moment my comeback turned into a rise they never saw coming. The moment I told Daniel I was his competition, not his crutch, something in him cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, but in that quiet, defeated way that happens when a person finally realizes the empire they were handed is sinking because they were never meant to hold it. He left my shop with shoulders slumped, eyes empty, steps unsteady. And the second the door closed behind him, a wave of customers came in. 3 pickup trucks, a forklift repair request, and 2 walk-ins needing custom welding. I didn't have time to savor the moment, but I felt it. Oh, I felt it. Every bead weld I laid down afterward carried the weight of years of being overlooked. Every spark felt like justice. Every finished job felt like a piece of my life being reclaimed. Ironheart wasn't just a shop anymore. It was a pulse, a force, a rebellion, given structure and steel. But as my rise accelerated, my family's downfall accelerated faster. And it didn't take long for people to start talking. "Hey, did you hear the old shop messed up another gate installation? I heard Daniel welded an entire hinge wrong and blamed the weather. Your family shop quoted me triple for work you did in half the time. Didn't they say you weren't ready? Funny how their shop is collapsing without you?" The whispers weren't cruel, they were factual. That's what made it hurt them more. But the true shift, the thing that ignited the next explosion, came from a place none of us expected, the town council. A project was coming up, a contract for municipal repairs, metal railings, benches, structural fixes, architectural reinforcements. A huge job, the kind that could financially resurrect a dying shop, or cement a rising one forever. The council reached out to me first. When I got that email, my hands shook, not from fear, from recognition. This was it. The moment destiny stopped being a dream and became an appointment. I set up a meeting and walked in wearing the same steel-toed boots my parents told me weren't ladylike enough. 4 council members sat across from me. One leaned forward. "We've reviewed your work," she said. "Your precision is unmatched." Another added, "Your turnaround time is the best we've seen. We want Ironheart to take the contract," the third said. I felt my throat tighten. "I'd be honored," I said, voice steady, "but may I ask something?" "Of course." "Did my family's shop submit a proposal?" The members exchanged looks. Finally, the oldest one, a man who's been in this town longer than my last name, spoke. "They did," he said. "But we couldn't take it seriously. Their quality has plummeted." Then he looked directly at me. It's obvious now who did the real work all those years. I inhaled slowly, deeply. Every second of overlooked effort flashed before me. Every late night, every early morning, every problem only I could fix. Every moment I covered Daniel's incompetence. Every time my father said, "Let him handle it," only for me to clean it up when he wasn't looking. And then the council member added something that carved itself permanently into my memory. "Talent eventually exposes truth," he said, even when people try to bury it. I left the meeting with a contract worth more than my first year's salary at the old shop. When I stepped into Ironheart, Gary saw my face and didn't ask. He just grinned. "Well?" "We got it," I said. He let out a whistle. "Kid? That contract alone could bury the old shop." "I know," I said quietly. "Are you ready for that?" he asked. I didn't answer, because I didn't know. I wanted justice. I wanted recognition. I wanted truth. But did I want destruction? Before I could work through the question, fate delivered its answer for me. Through Claire. She stormed into my shop a few days later, practically shaking with rage. "How could you?" she shouted the moment she stepped inside. Customers looked up. I didn't flinch. How could I what? "Steal the town contract. You're already taking all our customers. Our suppliers are questioning us. Mom is crying every day. Dad says we might have to sell the shop, and now this." I exhaled slowly. "I didn't steal anything." "Yes, you did," she snapped. "It was supposed to be ours." "It was yours," I corrected. "You just weren't good enough to keep it." Claire's breath hitched like she'd been slapped. "You don't understand," she whispered. "Parents are talking about taking out another loan. Daniel is losing his mind. Our shop is dying." "Because you put the wrong person in charge," I said. "Not because of me." Claire stepped closer, her tone shifting from anger to something desperate, fragile, childish. "Why couldn't you just stay?" "Because you didn't want me," I said, "until you needed me." She squeezed her eyes shut. "If you were in our shoes, what would you have done?" "I would have chosen the person who earned it," I answered, her eyes opened slowly, shimmering with tears. "Do you hate us?" The question stunned me. "Hate? No." "I don't hate you," I said softly. "I outgrew you." That broke her, completely. She covered her face, sobbing quietly. I didn't hug her. I didn't comfort her, not because I was cruel, but because comfort without accountability is just another lie. After a moment, she whispered, "You're going to be the end of us." And that was the moment my comeback sharpened into something inevitable. "No," I said. "You were the end of yourselves." She left without another word. And the second the door closed, Gary looked at me from across the room. "Kid," he said carefully, "you know they're gonna hit rock bottom soon." "I know. Are you ready for that?" I didn't answer right away. I picked up my torch, flipped the hood down, and let the sparks fly. The burst of heat lit the entire shop, painting the walls in orange fire. When I finally spoke, my voice was steel. "They dropped me first," I said. "Now they're feeling the drop." "And the rise?" I wasn't done rising yet. The funny thing about karma is that it doesn't send invitations. It just shows up, loud, sharp, and right on time. And right after Claire's breakdown in my shop, karma arrived like a demolition crew, targeting every weak beam my family had built their shop on. The first collapse came from a direction none of us expected: suppliers. One by one, they started calling my cell instead of the old shop. "Hey, were you the one who actually managed orders before? We heard you opened your own place. Can we switch our contract to you? We're tired of Daniel's excuses. He keeps blaming you for everything." I didn't even have to fight for them. They migrated toward competence like water finding the lowest point. Every call was another nail removed from my family's collapsing structure. And then came the second blow: customer reviews. People posted pictures of Daniel's uneven welds, cracked seams, burned patches, sloppy angles. One review said, "I can't believe they replaced the only person keeping that shop alive." Another said, "I'm taking all my business to Ironheart. She knows what she's doing." Each review was like watching bricks fall off a failing wall. My parents tried to fight back. They tried to control the narrative. They even put out a statement saying, "Our daughter is inexperienced and running an unsafe operation." But when people came to see my shop for themselves, they saw the truth. Clean stations, precise welds, efficient workflow, and a calm, confident welder who didn't panic every 5 minutes. Word spread. Ironheart wasn't a rebel shop, it was the real shop. And the next wave hit even harder. A local news reporter reached out after seeing the spike in reviews. She wanted to do a feature on young tradeswomen excelling in male-dominated fields. The moment she stepped inside Ironheart, her eyes lit up. "This place is incredible," she said. "You built all this?" "Every inch," I replied. She asked for an interview. I accepted. She asked for a demonstration. I did it. Sparks flew across the shop like fireworks. She asked if she could compare my work to my family's shop. I didn't tell her to. I didn't even hint at it. But she went anyway. She filmed everything, and when the segment aired 2 days later, it was a massacre. The camera panned across Daniel's sloppy welds, shaky benches, burnt-out tools. The reporter's voice narrated, "Without the daughter who kept this shop running, quality appears to have drastically declined." The video went viral in our town within hours. People were sharing it with captions like, "We knew it, she deserves the shop. This is what happens when you choose family politics over skill." And then the most unexpected twist hit. My father showed up again. But this time, he wasn't angry. He was terrified. He walked into Ironheart looking like he'd aged 10 years in 1 week. His hands trembled, his voice cracked, his pride, once his strongest muscle, looked broken. "We're losing everything," he said, barely above a whisper. "Loans, repairs, customers, it's falling apart." I didn't put my torch down. "That's not my doing." "It is your doing," he said, not accusingly but like a confession. "We built everything on your work, and we didn't realize it until you were gone." I finally lifted my mask and faced him. "You didn't realize it, because you didn't want to realize it." He winced. "Maybe, but we need you. The shop needs you." "The shop you gave away?" I asked. "To a man who can't tell a MIG weld from a hole in the ground?" His eyes filled with something I never thought I'd see in him. Shame. "We made a mistake." "No," I said, "you made a choice." He swallowed hard, failing, "Please, come back, help us." "Why? Because if you don't, we might lose the business completely." And then, like fate wanted to sharpen the knife in the moment, my phone rang. The council, another contract, bigger than the last. I let it ring. My father's eyes flicked to the phone. "You're really doing this well, aren't you?" "Yes." He inhaled shakily. "If you were in my shoes, if you saw your family drowning, what would you do?" There it was, the question he should have asked the day he betrayed me. "If I were in your shoes," I said, "I wouldn't have thrown my daughter overboard in the first place." He closed his eyes, absorbing the blow. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I studied him, not the man he had been, but the man standing here now, fragile, exhausted, finally aware. But apologies don't erase consequences. Apologies don't rebuild what was burned. Apologies don't undo betrayal. "Dad," I said quietly, "I'm not coming back." His breath hitched. "I see. But," I added, "you should prepare yourself." "For what?" "For the real storm." Because the news feature wasn't the end of my rise. It was the beginning of something even bigger. Something that would shake this entire town. And the fallout. My family was nowhere near ready. Payback isn't always fireworks. Sometimes it's quieter, like the slow tightening of a bolt, the steady hiss of pressure building behind steel, the moment before metal warps under heat. My payoff began that way, quiet, slow, controlled. But it didn't stay that way. It started on a Tuesday morning, ordinary on the surface, but everything underneath it ready to snap. Ironheart was busier than ever. I had cars lined up outside, invoices printing nonstop, clients waiting with coffee in hand just for a chance to book a time slot. Gary was welding a gate frame in the back, and I was meeting with a corporate rep about a contract that could triple my revenue. Everything was rising, everything was aligning, and then the bell over the shop door chimed. My mother walked in. Not the version I remembered, the strict, polished, cold woman who believed tradition mattered more than truth. No, this was a smaller version of her, tired around the eyes, shoulders slumped, steps hesitant. She didn't look like a woman coming to scold me. She looked like a woman bracing for impact. "Hi," she said softly. I stared at her. No anger, no welcoming warmth. Just distance carved from months of betrayal and silence. "Hi." She glanced around the shop, taking in the polished floors, the organized tool racks, the glowing welds Gary was finishing. "It's nice," she murmured. "You've built something impressive." "I know," she swallowed. "Your father told me you won't come back. And he told me you said a storm was coming." I shrugged. "You'll see." She clasped her hands together, wringing them slowly, like she was trying to squeeze courage out of her palms. "Can we talk privately?" I led her into the small office, the one I'd built from scratch with 2 chairs, a metal desk, and the sign Ironheart welded on the wall behind me. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. She sat down, carefully, eyes drifting to everything in the room like she was seeing me for the first time. "Your father is falling apart," she said. "The shop is, well, it's barely staying open." I leaned back, "Because the person you put in charge can't weld." She winced, but she didn't deny it. "Your sister's marriage is suffering. Daniel is angry all the time. Claire is overwhelmed. They didn't expect this." "They didn't expect accountability," I replied. "That's different." She looked down. "You're angry." I didn't answer. My silence was loud enough. "And you're hurt." Then still silent. "And you want us to feel what you felt." I tilted my head. "You already do." For a moment she didn't speak. Then she exhaled shakily. "We didn't think you needed the shop. You were always so strong, so capable. We thought you'd land on your feet. Daniel, on the other hand, he needed support." I stared at her, stunned by how casually she admitted it, like my entire life was a puzzle piece they could afford to misplace because they assumed I'd simply rebuild myself without complaint. "Strength doesn't mean disposable," I said. Her eyes filled with tears. She tried to blink away. "We made a mistake." "Yes," I said quietly. "You did." She reached into her purse and pulled out a small envelope. "Your father wants you to have this." I didn't touch it. "What is it?" "A share of the shop." I laughed, not cruelly, just in disbelief. "You want to give me pieces of a sinking ship?" "It's still the family business," she whispered. "It was," I corrected, past tense. She set the envelope on the desk anyway, as if leaving it there meant leaving the door open. But the truth was, I'd welded that door shut long ago. Before either of us could say anything else, a man walked into the office, a sharply dressed executive. Clean suit, expensive watch, confident stride. He extended a hand. "Hello, you must be Ironheart's owner." My mother's head snapped toward him. "Who are you?" He ignored her, eyes locked on me. "I'm the regional director for Summit Industrial. We reviewed your town contract and your interview on the local news." He smiled. "We were impressed." I blinked. Summit Industrial? He nodded. We want to offer you a partnership. My mother gasped. A partnership? The director continued. We want to help you scale. New equipment, larger facilities, staffing, marketing. You have talent, precision, and initiative. We want you as one of our recognized partner shops. My mother looked between us like she was witnessing an earthquake, tearing the ground apart beneath her. How big is this partnership? She asked. The director looked at her for the first time coldly, significant. Then he looked at me again. Your work is better than anything we've seen from the old welding shop. My mother's face drained of color, completely white. He handed me a folder and said, review the proposal and let us know. But personally, I think you're the future of welding in this town. And just like that, he walked out. My mother stared at the folder in horror. If you accept that, your shop will grow bigger than ours ever was. I said nothing. She looked at me with trembling lips. If you do this, we won't survive. I finally leaned forward, folding my hands on the desk. Mom, I said softly, you already didn't survive the moment you chose him over me. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Please, don't destroy us. I exhaled, slowly, calmly, with the weight of every cut, every insult, every betrayal they ever handed me. I didn't destroy you, I said. You destroyed yourselves. I just stopped carrying the pieces. She broke, shoulders shaking, face hidden behind her hands. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty for her tears. I felt free. When she finally left, the office was quiet, still, powerful. I opened the folder, I read the contract, and I signed it because this was never about revenge. It was about truth finally landing where it belonged. And the truth was simple. They transferred the wrong shop to the wrong man and created the right woman in the process. Ironheart wasn't just my comeback. It was my legacy, forged in betrayal, refined in fire, finished in steel, and no one, not my family, not their regrets, not their mistakes, was ever going to take it from me again.